Welcome to News Video Clip. Today, the white majority Republicans in Tennessee decided to redistrict the mostly black city of Memphis, which has traditionally elected Democrats in the House of Representatives. However, now, since the Republicans have done this gerrymandering, they have basically cut Memphis up into pieces. Almost think of it as a pie being sliced up, and those pieces are going to be attached to Republican districts. So this basically takes away the power that Black people in Memphis have had for years to elect their own representatives. So there was a protest today at the Capitol in Tennessee. And here's Mother Jones, Garrison Hayes reporting.
I'm at the Tennessee State Capitol today, and moments ago, demonstrators were removed from the East Gallery of the House after protests broke out. Tennessee Republicans are advancing a plan to gerrymander Memphis after the Supreme Court's decision to weaken the protections of the Voting Rights Act. This will leave the people of Memphis, a majority black city, with no power to choose their own congressional representation.
So, anyways, excellent explanation there by Garrison. And one of the protesters is Justin Jones, who literally burned a Confederate flag in the Tennessee Capitol. So that's pretty awesome. I love how he stomps on it on the end. That's exactly what we should be doing with that racist flag. There were some more protests. Take a look at those. So you can just see the white Republicans look like they're deers caught in headlights. They just can't believe people are actually speaking up against them and protesting them. The fascists just don't get it. All righty. Speaking of Republicans, here is a former Republican, former MAGA hardcore. Her name is Ashley St. Clair. Now, Ashley used to be pushing Trump all the time on social media, especially Twitter X. That was until she got involved with Elon Musk, who owns Twitter X, and she ended up having his baby. So she has done a 180, and now she is revealing how exactly these scumbag right wing influencers, which she used to be, she is no longer, how they get paid by the Republican Party and Trump to lie on social media. This is an excellent video.
What I really want to focus on now is the paid campaigns, because this is able to fester through many loopholes within our own regulations and laws. Because since what they're promoting is messaging or petitions or campaigns and not a service or a product, they do not have to disclose that they are paid for this on social media. So they have these Republican operatives, some of which were former White House, who build out these platforms that these right-wing influencers can log onto and see active campaigns and sign up for and get paid for promoting certain messaging, certain initiatives, certain petitions. And this pay is typically, per click. Sometimes it's a flat rate, but it is everything from, hey, tell your audience to call their members of Congress and vote a particular way on this bill, or, have your followers sign this petition, promote this propaganda, XYZ. And the structure is indistinguishable from ad campaigns that you would do for traditional companies. So if you take, Tarte, for example, or a cosmetic brand or what have you, typically when they get influencers, they will also have a company copy or things that they should say, a script. And so do these right wing influencers. They are given a script, they are paid, and they post it. And the only difference is that they do not have to disclose that it's an ad because of our current laws and regulations do not require them to do so since it is not a good or a product. Now, some of these consulting firms that pay for this stuff, they will show up on FEC records because, the campaign or the PAC or the candidate pays them. But once they pay this consulting firm, it's gone. There is no further disclosures required by the consulting firms or anything like that. So this is a good way for them to hide exactly who they're paying for messaging because it just goes through these firms that do not require any additional reporting to the FEC. And again, they also have these group chats with members of the administration and high up officials that, especially when a scandal or controversy breaks out, all of this messaging is coordinated. Hey, here's how we respond to the files. Here's how we respond to the war. Here is how we respond to everything.
Okay, so it's an excellent video, and she actually goes into more in depth than that. And we will have that video in its entirety linked to our website below this video. But it's really interesting how she's saying that the Trump administration and Republicans, they hire these consulting firms, and the consulting firms end up paying these right wing influencers to lie. They even give them scripts on what to say. And so these scumbag right wing influencers get paid, but it doesn't show up on the Federal Election Commission forms. That's the FEC she was talking about. All that shows up is the name of the consulting firm. So it's a really sleazy way for Republicans to spread their message and pretend it's completely organic when the reality is they're paying people off. All righty. Speaking of sleazy, here is Trump's energy secretary, Chris Wright. He was on Fox News today, and he was bragging about what a great job the Trump administration is doing by bringing down energy prices. The only problem is Fox News put a graphic up that actually shows energy prices going up. So let's take a look at this clip. It's actually pretty funny.
And what about people's concern about gas prices? They're seeing numbers that give them some heartburn and some heartache, and it's hard for a lot of people to figure out how they're going to stomach this for much longer.
It is. And of course, it's been tough for our administration as well. This is an administration, the first Trump term and the second Trump term, all about lowering energy prices and an incredibly successful record in doing that.
An incredibly successful record in doing that? Are you kidding me? Did you not see the graphic that Fox actually put up? It's ridiculous. This guy lies with such abandon. Let's take a look at those success again, shall we? Yeah, right. A year ago, prices were 315. A month ago, they were 414. Yesterday, 453, and now 455. And he calls this an incredible success. And Chris Wright obviously lying through his teeth. But he's not the only Trump stooge who's out there lying about gas prices. Here is Trump Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy. Now, he's saying we're in a good place for fuel prices, and he wants Americans to go on road trips this summer. Of course, Sean Duffy is not going to be paying for your gas bill. Let's take a look at this scumbag, shall we?
Energy prices came down below $100 a barrel. I think
Yeah.
at 93 this morning. I don't quote me on that, but I was looking at it. I think it was like 92, 93 for Brent crude. So we're in a good place.
We see the price of crude going down significantly recently, but when could we see that at the pump? Especially now we're getting into that summer blend gasoline. 90% of Americans take road trips for their summer vacation.
Well, first of all, we want to encourage all Americans to take a road trip, whether you're going to go 2 hours or 2 days.
Okay, well, Americans, Sean Duffy's not going to be paying 1 cent for your road trips. And when he talks about the price of gasoline going down on the market, what he's really talking about are the future prices. He's not talking about the actual prices that you're paying at the pump. So that's a pretty awkward sleight of hand for him to try to pull. So he's obviously, kowtowing for our 34-time felon and adjudicated rapist, Donald Trump. Which brings us to our last story. Trump has been claiming for a long time that Iran's military is really in bad shape. Oops, turns out a leaked CIA memo is showing that Trump lied to Americans about Iran's military strength. The Washington Post reported that Trump has claimed that Iran only has 18 to 19% of its missile inventory. However, the CIA found that Iraq actually has around 70 to 75% of its missile inventory still ready to go. And the CIA memo actually says that Iran can survive the U.S. naval blockade for at least 3 to 4 months before suffering any economic hardship. So Trump has been completely lying to us. He's been telling us how destroyed Iran is and how Iran is just completely obliterated. And yet his own CIA is contradicting him. Anyone surprised? Alrighty. You can see the links to that story and other stories right below the video. And that's what makes us different from the right-wing influencers out there, the scumbags like Tim Pool and Joe Rogan and Benny Johnson, who never back up anything with their videos. We always back up our stories. Alrighty. Please keep watching. Please like and subscribe, or hate and subscribe. We just want you to subscribe. Alrighty, we'll be bringing you more stories later. Thanks a lot.